are you with feedback, Cheryl?
So I've had to learn to sit with feedback. I think when it's constructive, I'm all here for it. When it's things like I could do areas of improvement, I'm always open to it. When it's positive feedback, that's something I've had to learn to kind of sit with and accept. And I think
Positive feedback.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe because I hold I put a lot of pressure on myself. So whenever it's something positive, I'm always waiting for the but you could, or maybe you should consider, and I'm always waiting for that. And then when it doesn't, not so much now, but previously, now I'm more open to hearing the positives and stuff like that. But beforehand, it used to feel a bit uncomfortable. Waiting for the, okay, what can I do better? How can I be better? But that being said, I do feel like I can be a bit fiery at times, especially when when you're giving feedback sometimes, because you can be direct. But I appreciate that, because it's not, I'm not going to skate around. I'm going to tell you about yourself. And you're going to hear me. When you're ready, you're going to hear me. And for me, that was a bit like, oh, that's a bit different. But then I appreciate it's honest. It comes as you come as it is and as you are. And for me, I've learned to be okay. And I think I've channeled my bit of fiery side, and I can be very reactive, but I've learned channeling my inner Rose to be calm. Sometimes hold back, not saying directly how I'm feeling at that given moment, and then coming back into the forefront of things.
Yeah. I think as much as I'm direct and outspoken, I've probably learned over the years to not react. So a lot of the times if I'm giving people feedback, it's things that I've mulled over for a while.
Oh, okay.
I've observed a couple of patterns. I'm watching and I'm keeping notes.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
You must have a massive notebook.
Why did you say that, Rose?
I can imagine
in my head. In my head.
Oh, okay.
So there are times when I've come at somebody with feedback and they're like, "No, what you on about?" And I have like 4 examples. I'm not doing it to be horrible. I think it's probably that side of me that wanted to study law years ago, that I always think if I'm gonna challenge somebody about something, it needs to be factual.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are times when somebody might do something and I might check that and I file it away. And it happens again and I filed it away. But when it's 3-4 times, I'm like, no, I need to say something now. And it makes sense, because I feel either way, if not, then it's gonna fester, it's gonna breed resentment.
Okay.
And so I feel like the importance of being honest is that at least now you know what I think. And obviously I think what I've learned over the years is tact and diplomacy. I'm not saying I'm always tactful, which is why I said sometimes if I'm tired I might be less efficient with my words. So if I'm tired, I need to take myself out of those situations, because if I'm there's an increased likelihood that things might come out of my mouth that must have come out. Right? But I find that I've always valued honesty. And I think I probably said it before on another podcast, that when I was young, I used to get in trouble for my mouth because it would come up here and come out through here. And it was my sister who said, not everything needs to be said, my older sister. And even if you say it, it's not what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah.
So over the years, I've had to learn to speak the truth in love, if you like. And I think there was also a lecturer I had at university who said, you have to care enough about somebody to tell them the truth. Does that make sense? And I think last we did a recording where you talked about seeing somebody with tissue on their shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're thinking, I could just leave them alone, let them carry on with it. But do you care enough? For the relationships that are not as deep and personal, you can go do whatever you want to do, man, because I don't care. But if we're closely connected, we have to work together. We're in partnership. In order for resentment to not grow in that relationship, it's important to have those open and honest conversations about things that we don't like about each other, about things that we disagree with, in a healthy and a respectful way.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm gonna resent you. Because there's this thing that you're doing that's annoying me or frustrating me, and I can't talk about it. But if I've spoken to you, once I've said it, I'm done. That's me done. And so I find that people who I've gotten on well with are people that I can just be open and honest with. Yeah. We can put it all out on the table. And as much as roles or personalities are very different, you're honest with me about what you think. Yeah. And I think it's probably something that would surprise people. Because I remember when probably you first joined the team, Sherelle, and Rose and I would sometimes be going at it, or people would hear me telling off Rose and be like, why are you being mean to Rose? And in my head, I'm thinking, you don't know the times when Rose pulls me aside and says, Anita, listen. Do you know what I mean? I get told about myself as well, you know, and those are the relationships I think that work and are healthy. But I mean, Rose, over to you in terms of that whole thing about communication and feedback and being open and transparent and how that helps in relationships.
I think it's how we give feedback really matters. It really matters. It's about choosing the timing. Is it the right time to give that feedback? And how are you going to do it? And it's about thinking about it. How is that person going to receive it? Yeah. So being very mindful and sensitive about how you do it. Yeah. I think it really matters. Because you can't just at times it can be taken or even misconstrued, but how do you approach, you know, and talk to someone about, you know, it's about having challenging conversations, really thinking about it, and also preparing someone about what you're going to talk about. It could be, you know, and how are they going to receive it, and how would they like to receive it, and that would inform you how best to speak to them.
Yeah, and added to that, you've got the type of communication as well. So I know we've mentioned previously about sometimes we might be texting each other and the tone in the text message doesn't necessarily convey how you're feeling. But it's also how that person, it's about how that person also receives that. So I could be texting it with a big smiley face. But then the person I'm texting it to may read it in a different tone. And that can once again become a communication or a breakdown in communication. And I think that's obviously been big learning as well within this forum for us. And sometimes it's about having that conversation via telephone. So it's about measuring what should be text from what could be actually.
Let's hash this out now.
Absolutely.
And you're right, Sherelle. And I guess probably throwing back a question at you at how do we manage that in this fast-paced microwave kind of environment where everything for people it's text messages. Nobody really has time to sit down and have conversation. Sherelle, you're always busy. Like you go 9 miles an hour. So it's that whole thing about, and there are times where in the last couple of months I've missed some of our time together. Look at Sherelle's face. I mean, there have been times where I felt like I'm tired of both of you because we were spending too much time together. Look at Sherelle's face. I mean it in a good way. What I mean is like, all right, so there have been times during this season where I felt like, oh gosh, I feel like we're spending too much time together and it's a bit much and I'm tired because we're seeing each other at work. We're seeing each other outside of work. We're seeing each other on the weekend. We're doing recordings together. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm a bit tired now and I need some space. But there are also times where I felt like we've not always had the chance to just spend the time that we used to spend together because there's just been so much going on. I think, because we used to just go walkabout or just do our own thing. But sometimes I don't feel like in the last couple of months we've had as much. We've been able to spend as much. And it's probably the reality of a lot of working people who start to step out and get busy, that sometimes you're so busy with the doing that you're not... We're spending time, but it's not quality time. Am I making sense?
You are making sense.
I think one thing that I love about us is we're able to recognize when we need to actually sit down and get serious about something. We make that time. It's important that we need to talk about this. Can we sit down? Can we meet? And we put time aside and do exactly that. And also what I like, Anita, at times we just get chatting. And before you know it, oh my goodness, really? How long have we been talking? And what have we been talking about? And, you know, but there are times when we mean business. This and that is what we are going to do.
Madam Sherelle. And let's go through the task.
I love, Sherelle,
Keeps us to task.
Yeah, and I don't think. Oh, I really appreciate that
Yeah,
that
it's a good
aspect of you.
quality.
Honestly, I do. The fact that you actually take notes and very quickly,
Oh my
you
gosh.
capture everything.
But Rose, you're always
with the
writing
actions.
everything down as well.
Oh no,
You're talking to Rose and her hand is going like this, Sherelle.
Like this.
And you know there's a notebook next to her and she's writing down what you're saying.
I need that.
That's what
I think.
That's an
I think.
example.
Yeah.
We're channeling each other. Like,
Yeah.
I take the notes, and Rose's like, okay, I take notes. See?
Listen,
Yeah.
it's always been a thing for Rose. You're meeting
Yeah.
with Rose on Teams and I'm talking about any random thing and I might be sharing a bit of advice and then Rose is there and her hand is moving. I'm like, Lord,
Yeah, but you're a fountain of knowledge. Like, you
Yeah,
say
it's
something,
true.
you don't
It's
realize.
true.
You
You
say these little
don't.
nuggets,
Yeah.
and you're like, I need to capture this.
Yeah, definitely.
Rose is a scribe.
Definitely. At times, I think with my notebook.
But
Yeah.
it's kind of, I wanted to pick up on something that you said about not sometimes having conversations on WhatsApp. Because like you said, sometimes we don't understand tone.
Yeah.
And there have been times when
Yes.
you and I should have been going back and forth over text about something. We're both getting upset over the text. And then we've had to say, no, let's stop this. Let's call each other. And we've called and had a conversation and it's fine.
It's hashed.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
like, but what was
was it
happening?
about? Yeah.
But the thing about the text messages, you know, like you said, Sherelle, you can't understand context and meaning. And it just some conversations are better
Definitely.
face to. It's even better face to face
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
can sit with each other and spend the time to just talk. You know.
Definitely.
So come back to your question. I think for me, voice notes, it's the in-betweener, because you got the aspect of kind of talking to the person and you can hear the tone, because you can hear if I'm angry, you can hear if I'm annoyed, you can hear if I'm perturbed, whatever I'm feeling, you can get that emotion from it.
Yeah.
So I would say, to answer and respond to that, in a fast-paced world and so forth, voice notes are, I mean, my go-to.
You know, I hate voice
Oh,
notes.
I love a voice
I
notes. If you
hate
ask any of my
voice
friends, literally, if you go through any of my chats, it's literally voice notes upon voice
I
notes.
hate
And they're like
voice
podcasts,
notes.
you know, they're like 20 or so minutes. Podcasts.
Listen, I think the thing is that it's one thing for me. I have to have the time to sit and listen to the voice note.
No, you don't. You can walk around, do your cleaning.
I'm telling you what's going on for me.
You're right, take your time.
So usually somebody sends me a voice note. I'm thinking, Lord, oh gosh, I need to listen to that later, because I always feel like when it comes to, I feel like listening for me is work in a way. Whereas I can read something really quickly and I can quickly respond. I agree with you that it's probably the middle point.
Yeah.
But I suppose I'm explaining that for me, when somebody sends a voice note, it's kind of work. I feel like I need to sit and listen.
And I funny because I feel like that when I get text messages, because it feels like it's a novel, and I have to.
You got to read all
all of it, and okay,
Yeah.
have I responded to that point? Whereas a
Yeah.
voice note, I can just like that. So that's interesting.
Maybe.
See the line again, different journey, same journey, but different parts of the line.
Yeah.
My example there.
Sherelle is so funny. I want to talk about work-life balance though, Rose, because obviously with this, Rose is there shaking her head going, Lord Jesus. I wanted to talk about balance and just about how have we managed to balance our time. Because obviously with this podcast, it means we've taken on extra work. It's like doing a side hustle.
Yeah.
And we still have our regular day-to-day jobs. So what has it been like for you, Rose, having to balance your time?
I suppose it's for me. It's again. It boils down to integrity about this knowing the difference between this is work and this is my own thing.
Yeah.
And when should I do my own thing?
Yeah.
And making the time for that.
Yeah.
And also, what's helped for me is that it's been fun. So it's been fun. It's not been like actually work.
Yeah.
And also it's about meeting you too and doing it outside of that. So it's the fact that again it boils down to our relationship. Yeah, because it's something that I'm going to look forward to. Meeting you guys and the chatting and all that, it helps. I think that
The banter.
that really, the banter really helps. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. I think it's and I think at times it's helpful in that it's not just work. You've got an outlet somewhere else. And for me, it's that.
And what has changed for you in the last year? How has your life changed?
Oh, I suppose for me, it's, I was just talking about it the other day that, oh my goodness, can you believe it? My youngest is 16 and she made all her college applications on her own.
Wow.
And I was thinking, wow, where does the time go, you know? And for me, that again, it's been very, very helpful in that now, because I've been so busy with, you know,
the children,
it's juggling the family life, the children, and that. But now that they're able to do their own thing, and I have that space now. Yeah,
Wow.
Because I've been so used to working, you know, full time and raising 4 kids.
Wow.
For how many years? Oh my goodness, coming to 20 plus years doing that. Yeah, but now having that space. And having something else to fill it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that has really, really worked for me, I must say. The timing is brilliant. And also there's something about, I often put it down because when I look back and reflect, I just think, actually, God actually orders my steps.
Amen.
How has this worked out?
Wow.
You know? And why has it been so seamless? So I often take it back to that no, God actually orders my steps. Yeah.
Yes.
For me, it's been a bit of a challenge finding time.
Oh, yeah.
And learning to prioritize, which I've get obviously reminded by a certain individual in this room.
Rose.
Who will not be named at all. However, it was about finding and prioritizing this space because like you said, Rose, it is our personal time. And when it comes to work, how many hours have we gone above and beyond?
Oh, yeah.
Just to get toil. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
But when it comes to our personal things, why do we always limit it and limit ourselves? And that's something that I've obviously learned from being within this forum. So it was about finding the time, making the time, and most importantly, prioritizing that time.
Yeah.
And how has your life changed?
My life has changed. I would say I'm more conscious of my time and not always doing the things. I've slowed down a lot in comparison to previous years. It's so funny because I was actually visiting a friend. Yes, Busy Bee, yes. I was catching up with a friend recently and she was like, oh, I remember the days where you used to be at one event and then you'd go to another straight after that and then you'd be at another. And I said, listen, just doing one event is a lot. But I am more conscious of my time and I don't always say yes to everything. I've been told I could be better still. I've still got some work to be done in this area.
I wonder who told her that, Rose.
Yeah, I wonder, you know. Maybe it's the same person who's been telling me that I need to prioritize my time. But yeah, I think that's what I've changed. It's been a learning curve for me.
I think for me, 2024 became busier in other ways. So the podcast was one thing. I became an associate with RIP.
You did?
Wow.
Yeah.
Started dipping my toes a bit more in some bits of freelancing. And so 2024, I'd probably say goes on record as probably the busiest year of my life or one of the busiest years of my life.
Okay.
Because, you know, it was juggling work full time, juggling the podcast, juggling different bits. And I remember coming to November and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Am I going to manage? And at times having things to deliver on and phoning my sister in Canada and saying, I'm so exhausted. And she was saying, okay, let me pray for you. But you know, I think the aim was just, let me just get to December. Because I had, and you guys probably know about some of the other personal bits I had going on as well. Some of the other personal hurdles that I had to jump over. But thank God, managed to navigate them and get through successfully. So to be honest, I got to December, looked back and said, God, you've been so good. Because even though it was one of the busiest years of my life, it was also one of the best years of my life in terms of having doors open, opportunities. And And what I've had to learn, and I'm still learning, is how to not obsess over this.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I just missed it as I was getting my water. I think can you one more? I'd like to hear that again. Sorry.
Because as you both know, sometimes I can become a bit obsessive about something.
Yeah.
Shiro, why are you laughing?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Shiro, what
You're having your
Rose,
time.
you need to
Please
speak to
continue.
her, please. Speak to her.
I apologise.
Speak to Shiro.
Rose gave me the look.
She gave me
She
the
did, you
look.
see the look?
And the hands.
And the hands came
When
with it, yeah.
Rose does the hands, it's like she's going, don't let me have to come.
She actually beat you one time, didn't she? I remember that. And I was here for it.
Oh my
I
God,
was
you
here
never
for
let that
it.
slide,
Okay,
will you?
she gave me a pat on the. It was sort
was
of
a
like it was like behave.
It was a remember yourself. Sorry, I cut you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You know, I'm one of the things I'm having to learn is to not obsess and to release things. Do it. Know that I've done it. Release it. Step back and let it go.
Yeah.
Because there were times I think, and it's probably like having a newborn baby. I imagine moms with a newborn might become obsessed over that child. It's the constant going to check on YouTube or to check on Instagram or to check or to check or to check. And there were times when I literally, it's like I could hear God saying, leave it alone and go sleep. Or like there were times where Saturday I'd say, okay, I'm going to rest. And then I get a call from my nephew who lives in Florida, Jordan, who's actually trained in robotics and tech. Nice. And I'll say to him, can you show me how to edit a video? And then I'm on the computer for 4 hours.
Wow.
Where he's remote controlling my computer and then I'm like, did I not say I'm gonna rest today? But I think that's the thing about when you're passionate about something and you enjoy it, it's not work. It's like a hobby. So but there have been times where I feel like I've made myself tired. Yeah. Like I've actually run myself ragged because when I should be sleeping, I'm there looking at other influencers, watching other podcasts, checking to see, are we doing this correctly? What could we do? Just wanting to soak up information out there about what are algorithms and what is this and what is that and what is that. And so I think the biggest lesson I've probably taken out of 2024 is how to pull back, to not hold things as tightly at times, and to just relax and to trust that God has it in control. And that if I trust him, he's going to make it happen, not in my own strength. I mean, obviously there is effort that we have to put into things.
Yeah, of course.
And we have to put the energy into things. But there's only so far that we can go in our own strength. Yeah. If you believe in God, that you have to trust him, that he's in control.